Welcome, everyone. My name is David Ellwood. I'm the dean here at the Harvard Kennedy School. It's my very true honor to welcome our speaker here, President Elbegdorj, back to the Harvard Kennedy School, since he is indeed a distinguished alumnus who graduated from here in 2002 with a master's in public administration. Mr. President, I know that in Mongolia, or at least I'm told that in Mongolia, a traditional greeting consists of 4 questions. Are you well? Is your family well? Are your cattle fat? Is the grass good?
Everything is good.
Yes. I am also told that the answer is always yes, no matter what the truth is. So I'm glad that this is all good. But we also do know that many, many good things have come as a result of your leadership and your work and your activities, both before and now as president in Mongolia. Before I begin, I would like to thank some people who made this all possible. Thank the Institute of Politics for all of your work. I'd like to acknowledge several distinguished guests in the audience. First, former Governor Bill Weld, who is here with us today. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Governor. We have a couple of former heads of state here in the audience. We have the President of Ecuador, Jamil Mawad, who's also a classmate in the same class with the two of you, as I understood, took Ronnie Heifetz's class together. That must have been a very good year. So we will do that. And the former Prime Minister of Greece, George Papandreou, I believe, is here. There you are, right there. There you are. Are there any other presidents or governors that I've missed? Well, it's no surprise that we have such a remarkable group of people to join us, but we have a remarkable leader here in the President of Mongolia. In the past 2 decades, remarkable change has come to Mongolia, and it is very much the changes that have gone from being a revolution in political, economic, and social sectors. Mongolia has transitioned from a communist regime to a democratic republic. It's gone from a planned economy to a burgeoning free market system. And its population has shifted from a predominantly pastoral herders to an increasingly urbanized people. President Elbegdorj's life is actually a remarkable journey that parallels this in many, many ways. It's probably no surprise because he was instrumental in many of the changes that happened. But it's a really stunning transformation personally as well. He was the youngest of 8 sons born to traditional nomadic herding family in the mountains of western province of Hovd, bordering on China. At the time of his birth in 1963, Mongolia's economy was based on agriculture and livestock herding, and a majority of the population, including his own family, was living in traditional yurts or tents along the vast rolling green grasslands of the Mongol steppe. After a short stint in a copper mine, President Elbegdorj began his mandatory military service in 1982. Now here's one part of the story that I find particularly appealing. During this time, the poems he submitted to the Army newspaper so impressed his superiors, they awarded him a scholarship to the Military Political Institute in the USSR in Lviv, Ukraine, where he earned a degree in military journalism and met his future wife, Belorma. Now look, I understand why Belorma might have liked poems, but I must say my impression of military service and Mongolian military service, which of course is very famous over years, would not have necessarily led me to believe that writing poems was an effective way for promotion. So I think very well of the Mongolian military for their wisdom and thoughtfulness, as well as your wife. That worked with my wife too, by the way. I thought it's a good strategy. Together, they have 5 children, and they are the foster parents to 20 orphans. During his study in the Soviet Union, he was greatly influenced by President Gorbachev's call for openness in society and a restructuring of the Soviet economic system. He was inspired, too, by President Reagan's passionate promotion of the free market economies and democratic values, most especially the freedom of speech. And in 1989, at the age of 26, President Elbegdorj became an early leader of Mongolia's underground democracy movement. At very great personal risk, he and other activists helped organize demonstrations and worker strikes that ultimately forced the ruling Politburo to resign in 1980, peacefully ending 70 years of communism. Later that year, he was elected to the country's first parliament, and subsequently he served in 3 additional terms in parliament. He was involved in the drafting and adoption of Mongolia's post-communist constitution, which introduced human rights, democracy, and an open economic system in the country. He has supported the privatization of livestock, of state-owned assets of land, and for almost half of Mongolia's entire population, the livestock was the first private property they'd ever owned. As Vice Speaker of the Parliament from 1996 to 1998, he was elected Prime Minister in 1998, although the coalition ultimately fragmented and leading to the dissolution of his government. While this was a setback momentarily, it was a very good thing for us because he then came to the Kennedy School and spent a year studying here, and again, many of his fellow classmates, as we've noticed, are here today. He returned to politics in 2004, again serving as Prime Minister through 2006, and in 2009, he was elected President. Under his leadership, there have been many democratic reforms, and democratic norms of institutions have been strengthened, including freedom of the press, civil rights, judicial reforms, and environmental protection, and various efforts to curb political corruption. Indeed, Mongolia's economy is experiencing really quite spectacular growth, growing at 17% a year, thanks to mostly to foreign direct investment in the mining of raw materials and various commodities such as copper and tin and coal and tungsten. And the President is very much aware also of how to avoid the so-called curse of commodities and think about ways to invest in the people in the future. One other remarkable success recently was that the country's sporting success in the 2012 Olympics. It's a country of roughly 3 million people. And Mongolia's Olympic team had 29 members, and they won 5 medals in many different sports. So the President's leadership has been recognized with a whole variety of awards, ranging from the 2011 UN Environmental Protection named him the Champion of the Earth for his action. And last year, the National Endowment for Democracy presented the New York Democracy Forum Medal to the President. So it is my very great pleasure to welcome to the Howard Kennedy School His Excellency Tsakhiagiin Elbegdorj. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for a kind introduction. You know, it's a really great pleasure and high honor to return to Harvard. You know, I am the one of you. 10 years ago, I was sitting here as a one of you and listening to the distinguished speakers. And I think from this audience, you are the students and also professors here teaching us, and I think I see many leaders. Usually you will be leaders in your family, in your community, in your organization, in your country. And I would like to put my talk into 3 places. Just I would like to share what I did after Kennedy School, what I did. You know, in 2002, when I graduated, when I got my diploma, master's in public administration, I felt that I fueled enough. I was like a rocket to launch from here to my country, 7,000 miles away from here. And after Kennedy School, I actually short-term worked at the headquarters of the United Nations. And with my professor, Jeffrey Sachs, together developing the Millennium Development Goal, and which was actually approved by the General Assembly of the UN. And after that, I came back to my country. And, you know, before talking that, you know, I really cherish my knowledge and my experience here, Kennedy School. And when I was about to graduate, I thought what I should bring to my home. And I thought, you know, that's maybe a good idea, and I have to have the Harvard Kennedy School ring. Still, I'm wearing, for 10 years, proudly my ring. When I got my ring, I asked my wife, I would like, since today's days, I would like to wear this ring. I agree with me. And she said, with ring, without ring, you are my lifetime partner. You are my husband. Please wear this ring. And I got that permission. I also, yesterday afternoon, I arrived here, and first I went to the Coop. 10 years ago I bought T-shirts for me. Now that's no longer in use. Because of that, I thought to go to buy some T-shirts. And I bought some T-shirts for myself and for my children. 25 T-shirts. I have 25 children. Because of that, I bought 25 T-shirts. And for my girls, for my boys. And there was a great scripture saying that future alumni of Harvard. Mr. Dean, I hope you have some people from admission office. Some of them may apply to study here. What I did after Kennedy School. When I was at the Kennedy School, I actually contemplated, I think about that. When I go back to Mongolia, what I will do. While I'm packing, go to Mongolia, I actually brought every paper, every bundles, every books, every lecture. I took them to Mongolia, several boxes. And when I was in Mongolia, I opened them and I put and I decided to give lecture to my people. As Dean mentioned that I was studying in Soviet Union. When I was studying in Soviet Union, when I came first time, in the streets I bought first time ice cream in Soviet Union. During that time there was no ice cream in Mongolia. And when I ate that ice cream, I thought how I can bring that ice cream to my mom, to my parents, that was very delicious ice cream. But it was impossible. But when I came back, of course, I shared my knowledge with my people. But from Kennedy School, I decided to share my knowledge with Mongolian people. And I developed a lecture titled, To Move or Not to Move. And there were the subtitles, Moving Mongolia Forward and Reinventing the Government. I think those are very familiar. Just Us, And I gave those lectures in a capital city, in the universities in Mongolia, in the provinces in Mongolia. That became great movement for change. And after that, in 2004, we had an election in Mongolia, and none of the political parties got majority. And during the midst of the political campaign election, I was lecturing in Mongolia. And I came back, and because of that, no party got the majority. Because of that, they decided to put Grand Coalition government. And they offered me prime minister seat. And I agreed. That. And I became prime minister second time in Mongolia. First time I became prime minister when I was 35 years old. Why I came to Kennedy School, while in the dusty streets of Mongolia, making a revolution for 10 years, I thought I have to refresh myself. I have to take shower, And I sent some application to some famous schools, and one of them was Harvard Kennedy School, and actually Kennedy School accepted, and I got the admission letter saying that you have to take 10 months intensive English course in Colorado, and you have to give the TOEFL exam. If you are eligible, welcome to Kennedy School. And they offered full tuition. That was great. And I accepted after taking the 10 months course, English course, and I accepted to the Kennedy School of Government. And I filled with that, and I went back. And after that, in 2004 election, as I told you that when I became prime minister, there was issue when I came back. Before us, there was the almost one-party dominance. Mongolian former Communist Party dominated 4 years, and there was the widespread corruption. And I decided to clean up our house, and I developed the anti-corruption program. That actually became the anti-corruption law, anti-corruption agency now in Mongolia. And I asked which agency is most corrupted agency in Mongolia, and they answered number one was the Customs Department. And I fought against that. More than 20 high, ranking people actually were under investigation. And I fought that there were the corruption related to the land in our capital city. And I worked for 2 years. And during that time also I introduced flat tax reform in Mongolia. We called it 4/10. We had a very many levels of taxes and not good. And I decided to make 4/10. Corporate tax 10, personal income tax 10, value-added tax 10, social tax 10. And I made that. And we got those 4/10 in Mongolia. Because of that, our economy revived, and during that time, we got first time in Mongolia, we got surplus economy. But fighting the corruption is not easy thing. I think as a politician, you can make decision. You can, as a leader of a country, prime minister, you can make decisions related with economy or social decisions much easier than the fighting corruption. Corruption requires taking actions, making very hard decisions. And because of that, I got majority against me in a parliament, and I survived 2 years as prime minister, and I was dismissed from my position after 2 years. And voted out. And after that, I actually again became the leader of my party, campaigning for my country. And now I would like to come back again to my second part of my talk, which I told that I would like to put my talks in 3 parts. And second part is what kind of transition we had from communism to democracy, from communist economy to free market economy. Since cold winter in November 1989, I actually involved in Mongolian democratic movement. After graduation in Soviet Union, I came to my capital city and worked in an army newspaper. And with my like-minded people, I established first non-communist democratic movement in Mongolia. During that time, Soviet Union was intact. And we have 2 big neighbors, Soviet Union and now Russian Federation and Chinese People's Republic of China. And between them, making that big transition, making that revolution was quite difficult thing. But we made that. And I would like to highlight 2 things. We made that transition without shattering single window, without dropping single blood. We did that in Mongolia. Also, we made the transition, political transition. That was not only economic transition, that was also political transition. Many people thought that making dual transition, political and economic transition at the same time is not possible in Asia. But we actually broke that old stereotype. We showed to the world it is possible in Asia, even in a poor country, in Mongolia. Enjoying your freedom, enjoying your rights, it's universal. It's even you are poor, you can make difference. Even you are poor, you can have a right to choose. And I usually say that, our people and herdsmen say that, herding, now having my herd like my property, this is my right. Even you are president, has no right to confiscate my herd. That's my democracy. That's my freedom. Even that doesn't matter how high your positions. If you are doing bad things for country, I would like to criticize you openly. That's my right. That's the freedom of expression. My old mother, 92 years old, she prayed for the Buddha for every night. That's her freedom. That's her democracy. And we gave that right to our people. In the late of 1990, in June 1990, we had a first multi-party election in Mongolia. Since then, we have 7 elections in Mongolia. Just last June, we had parliamentary elections for parliament. Within 1 week, actually, we managed to transform from one party power to the other party peacefully. We did it. And because of that, my country now named as the democratic anchor in the East. And I saw that no authoritarian government, no military regime can stand against the people's will who determined to be free. I saw it. I believe that in every heart, God actually has planted the desire to live free. Sometimes that desire crushed by some force, and again that desire will wake up. And I really believe that one day we will all live with the freedom. Because for that, now Mongolia is working for that. In 2009, I became the candidate for president. My slogan, my motto was very simple. I served my country 2 times as prime minister. I have a journey to finish. I have an agenda to implement, We have to clean up our country from the corruption, from red tapes. 2 times I tried to do that in my country, but behind of me, Parliament did not support, and I was 2 times dismissed from Prime Minister. And if you, people of Mongolia, if you support me, if you are rally behind me, if you choose me as a president, I will continue my job. And they actually choose me. And in June 2009, I became first president from Democratic camp in Mongolia, after we having the heads of states for 90 years from Communist Party. What I did, I would like to briefly mention. I usually say that my policy has 2 pillars. One is our people, one is our nature. And in the front of people, of course, I wanted to give more justice to our people. And we have from the policeman to the judge. We have a judiciary system that actually serves the power. And I wanted to reverse that. Not the serving the power, serving the people. And through that, we are now changed almost 10 laws, and I introduced 16 laws to my parliament. And I think in coming year, we will finish with that legal reform. After that, through that legal reform, we will reform structurally our judiciary system, and after that, we will take care of the personnel. And I think we will have that rule of law in place in Mongolia in coming years. I think from that, everyone will benefit. From that, everyone will benefit. And usually people see that no one is above the law. No one is above the law. When they see that there is minister, there is former president actually under investigation, people get encouraged. Okay, our government, our president, our leaders are very serious with this disease. In June last year, this year, we had a Secretary Clinton coming to Mongolia, and I told to Secretary Clinton one story. In last 3 months in the States, there was one story about Mongolia was very widespread. That story was related with the dinosaur skeleton. A skeleton called dinosaur Batar, which was slipped away from Mongolia, smuggled from Mongolia, ended up somehow in the United States of America, and they prepared auction that dinosaur skeleton here, and I wrote letter and we stopped that, and now that dinosaur skeleton will coming back to Mongolia. And I said that dinosaur actually lived 70 million years ago. I said to the Secretary Clinton, now we got, in these days, in these years, we got one dinosaur called corruption. And we have to save our freedom from that dinosaur. Let's be together, fighting that enemy in our land. And actually, Secretary Clinton was very supportive of my idea and our agenda. So other thing, of course, related with the participation, related to the people's power. I think even we made that democratic revolution, still men in a high offices holding the power. And we need to transform that power to our people. We need to make that, our people in place, our people living in small towns, small provinces, they have to make decision how high should we tax, how much, how can they elect their people, they should have that power, and we should give that power to our people. And because of that, I'm working with Swiss government to make Mongolia from the representative democracy to direct democracy, to participatory democracy. If you are building civil society, if your citizens are having no right except, choosing, except participating in the elections, if they do not have any voice, I think how you can benefit from that? I think people should have that right. And because of that, I am doing that. I hope Mongolia in our region will be having that wide participatory democracy, and further we will go to the direct democracy. Second issue, of course, related with the environment, license. When I became the president, 46% of our territory was under exploration licenses. 46, almost half of my country. That's the size of Alaska. We have a 1.5 million square kilometer land. And half of them were the exploration licenses. And I put moratorium, and I introduced law stopping that. And now that actually reduced it to 15%, from 46 to 15%. And also in the environment front, now we have an ambitious goal to make 1/3 of our territory under the protection, preserved territory for our next generation. We have a big territory. We need to preserve that pristine nature, that territory to our next generation. But now we got, as Dean mentioned, that fastest growing economy in the world, 17.5%, That's the quite high growth. Even President Obama happily settled in. We would like to share that growth with others. And now Mongolia is chairing the community of democracies. 23 years ago, Mongolia had the same political economic system like today have Cuba or North Korea. After 23 years, now Mongolia is the leader of the democratic movement worldwide. And we are chairing the community of democracy, and we will give that chairmanship to Ecuador. Jamil, to the president, former president, is sitting here. When I studied here as a student, I tried to hide my title as a former prime minister. I didn't say it to anyone. I tried to be very low profile. I had a little bit shame, prime minister studying here with us, that's not good. I thought that, But when I found out President Ecuador, Jamil is studying in my class, classmate, wow, I got encouraged. Studying is the lifetime journey. You can study for your lifetime, Even you are 60 years old, 50 years old, you can come to Kennedy School, and from here you can benefit. I think that's really good thing of Kennedy School. And I think Kennedy School and Harvard is really good brand. And I wanted, after my graduation, I wanted to use that brand. If you are studied here, I think you have to use that brand. You have to sell that to your community. You have to show you studied in a #1 high learning institution in the world. And you have to be #1 in your community, in your country. I think you have to have that courage, and because of that, that actually gave me to tackle most difficult challenges. For example, Mongolia was with the death penalty issue. Mongolia had a record, one of the 3 worst case country related with the death penalty: North Korea, Belarus, Mongolia. And when I became the president, I got 2 papers on my table. One is to execute, one is no execution. And I saw to that paper and I made that decision, no execution, pardon that, and I made pardon. And since June 2009, in Mongolia, we did not have single execution. And we introduced also protocol on death penalty, UN protocol, and I introduced draft of law to bring all those clauses related with the death penalty. I think that was one of the issues. You cannot have support from people. Usually people tend to say for death penalty, but that is one of the issues you can exercise your leadership. If your government is by the people, for the people, why your government is going to kill the people? That's not good. That's not good. You know, sanctity of life, human dignity is the most important thing. If you would like to establish justice system in your country, you have to begin from that. You have to begin from that. In some countries, I see that they use that tool of the political repression, you know. They use that, make some political opponents disappear. That's not good. I actually began from that. And we have a small population. And those were the really tough decisions to make in my country. And now I think I have to open for the question and answer. Thank you for attention. Yeah.
So we now have time for questions, and for those of you that are new to the forum, I want to explain what a good question at the Kennedy School involves. First of all, you identify yourself. Second, it is short and contains just one thought. Third, it ends with a question mark. And with that, there are microphones here, 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 and here. So if you line up, and I'll just go in order, so don't find yourself in line where there's again space. So we'll take as many as we can. So let me go ahead and we will start right here.
Great.
My name is Oyanga Bol, and I'm from Mongolia. I'm a third-year graduate student at Earth and Planetary Sciences Department here at Harvard University. And it's my great honor to be here and listen to our great leader. And I just had a quick question. And how do you see the future of Mongolia?
You know, I believe in the future of Mongolia because our country is not governed by the political parties or the politicians. Our country is governed by our people. And our people are smart. And they usually make good decisions. They usually correct bad decisions of government. I really believe in the power of openness. I really believe in the power of freedom. When you got the freedom, free people usually create wonderful things. Free people usually take their steps very responsibly. From that comes actually accountability. They ask very tough questions from government. When people free, they usually tend to create. That actually brings your country to prosperity. Because of that, Mongolia is a free country. Mongolia is governed by people's choice. I really believe in a bright future of Mongolia. Thank you.
Right up here.
Yes. Mr. President, thank you very much. My name is Simon Lee, and I'm an MPA student here. My question is regarding the nuclear facilities in Iran. My question is, what, in your opinion, do you think is necessary to achieve a higher level of cooperation and openness from Iran?
Yeah. You know, one clarification. In last month, I attended non-aligned summit in Iran, and I visited Islamic Republic of Iran. And when in my hotel in the English newspaper, I saw there is article. You know, if you would like, if the head of a state, head of the delegation want to go to nuclear facility in Iran, you are free. You can go there. And I thought, why I should not use that opportunity to go there? And on this issue, my standing is very clear. First, Iran should not endanger, Iran's nuclear activity should not endanger any independent country's security. Iran should comply fully with the UN Security Council's resolution. And that is my standing. And after visiting that, many people asked such a question. And I said also, I am not the weapons inspector. I am telling you what I saw. They invited and I was there. Other thing, Mongolia is the 20 years ago, Mongolia announced nuclear weapon-free zone status. That actually supported by several resolutions of United Nations. That status not only, you know, serving in our region, that should serve in a worldwide. Other thing, why I had a visit to Iran, I think one of the interesting things was history. In the 13th, 14th century, Mongolians actually ruled for one century. Our kings ruled Persia. And also 200th century, we were there. And many of the archives, many of the history, many of the heritages of the Genghis Khan, of his grandsons, of his other kings there, and in the archives of Iran. And we are actually looking for that historical heritage in Iran. We wanted to build that bridge between our two countries. You know, we have a great study in Asia, in Europe, about our past, but we almost do not have any study in that part of the world that actually opening for the science, for the exchange of our researchers in that field. That was the main aim of visiting that country. Yeah.
Thank you. Right up here.
Hi, Mr. President. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Solo. I'm a sophomore at the college, and I wanted to ask you a question on behalf of the Forum Committee. Your story involves a lot of setbacks, a lot of moments of defeat. How did you maintain your perseverance, and how did you find in yourself the strength to make that comeback?
That's really easy, you know. I usually politicians, as a public servants, there is no such thing. Good choice, bad choice. Usually there are bad choices. Both of them very bad. You know, fighting corruption, bad as Prime Minister. One day you will be dismissed from your position. But fighting corruption is good for Mongolia. I usually think about that. What is it good for Mongolia? What is good for Mongolian future? And I choose that. And I usually come back to my positions again. That's it. That's my secret. How I survive.
Right down over here.
Hi, Mr. President. My name is Sita Gofard. I'm a sophomore at the college, and it's such an honor and privilege to be able to hear you talk. I am very curious about particularly why Mongolia and why your leadership have been so successful in making the transition to democracy in only 23 years. You know, under your leadership, you've accomplished many things in terms of civil liberties, in terms of political freedoms, a functioning democracy, and rooting out corruption in government. But this is a problem that many, many countries around the world, in Asia and also elsewhere, struggle with. And yet you managed to do it in only 23 years and is a model for the rest of the world. So I'm wondering, what words of wisdom do you have for other nations out there that seek to emulate the success of your government in this aspect? And what lessons can we draw away from Mongolia?
You know, Mongolian success belongs to Mongolia. Means that Mongolian success is owned by Mongolian people. Our democracy, our freedom is not foreign transplant. That's our wealth for which we fought together, for which we suffered together. And we owned our success and we owned our failure. I think one of the beauty of the free nation, free system is you can make mistakes. Even president, even prime minister, you can make many mistakes, but you can fix that. You can learn from your mistakes. But in a closed society, that mistake can be your last mistake. But in an open society, from that you can learn lessons and advance. I usually say that, democracy is a learning process. That's it, learning process. You usually go through very hard challenges, and if you make mistake, that's also sometimes good. And you learn that, and you advance. That actually makes, take your country, take yourself, and take your community to the progress. Yeah.
Okay.
Own your revolution.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Tiffany Lazo. I am freshman in the college, and I'm from Puerto Rico. My question was, since Mongolia is growing at such a rapid pace, what measures or what policies are you planning to implement in Mongolia in order to maintain and sustain this economic development in a way that will continue to benefit the people of Mongolia and not so much bring in foreign investments and make sure that it is something that is truly from the people and protect the culture?
That's one of the challenges we are facing now. Mongolia is one of the 10th richest country by mineral resources in the world. But when you have that resource and you are facing that curse, resource is going to become, curse or blessing. I think there is one great tool now we have in the world. World is becoming more flat. World has that tool, internet. In order to be successful country, exploring and exploit, taking your resources. And you do not have to go to Harvard Library. Just sit behind in front of your computer, type what is your interest. And there will be plenty of literature, plenty of things will appear in front of you. You can learn from that. There are many countries failed with the mineral resources, but few countries actually succeeded. And there is one tendency. What kind of countries are succeeding? I saw one tendency, that's the open countries actually succeeding. After this visit, I will go to Norway. Norway is one of the examples that's success. That's open country, how they use that mineral wealth, that oil wealth for their country, for their people. And Canada is open country, Australia is open country, and Mongolia is open country. One of the beauty of the open country, people has a chance to fix, people has a chance to, reverse that bad decisions of their governments. People has a right to influence. Because of that, I think we will take that route. And there are great many expertise, and we will learn from that.
Right up here.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a privilege to speak to you. My name is Akola Gwek, and I'm an MPA student here at Kennedy School, and I'm from South Sudan. We are sometimes told that corruption is everywhere, that it is something that never goes away. It is always going to be there in a society by some leaders. And from your lecture today, it turns out that actually good leadership could actually combat corruption. If you are a good leader, you can actually fight corruption. How do you speak to your colleagues out there who aren't coming up to speed to fight corruption, who actually tell their people that it is something that never goes away, and I'm not going to do something about it? How do you tell them that it is actually doable?
I think most essential thing to fight corruption, I think you have to put in place independent judiciary system. You have to reform that system. In order to reform that system, you have to get along with your lawmakers, with your parliament, or with your decision makers. In order to make that, before that, you have to educate your people. I think if you are no president, you are no prime minister, you can be great speaker, lecturer, you know, go out from your capital city, go from your comfort zone, and go to the people and speak from your heart. You know, how we can get rid of that issue, you know. If you educate your people, usually people suffer from that corruption. If someone paid on customs, you know, bribery, they usually include to that payment to the price of the goods. And they sell to your mother, to my mother, to your father. And everyone pays the price of the corruption. One disease that eats away everything that everyone pays. And you have to make people to understand that. I think education. Once your society educated with that, usually politicians tend to follow the people's mood, you know. That politicians, such kind of animal, you know, what kind of messages people are supporting? Are they against corruption or they are for it? If they became the whole society, 70% of your society becoming aware that disease in your country, you have a chance to succeed. You have a chance to succeed. If you go there, never compromise. I think justice is non-negotiable. Justice is non-negotiable. And you have to tell, that's really hard, you know, you will punish your friend, your one party, your close ally, your, you know, brother or someone will be under that. But you never go back. You have to stand. To become good politician, I think you have to have that value. You have to have that courage and execute that policy with the support of your people. And you will succeed. I think one day, many countries will be rid of the corruption. And corruption is usually related with the decision makers. Corruption is usually related with those people in power. Corruption is not issue related with the people, you know, ordinary people. Corruption, that's the issue related with that power. That's the small segment of your society. If you got that support, you will feel that comfort. And also, you know, last year with the President Obama, we launched Open Government Initiative. That's a really great initiative. And there is law, and we're going to introduce law. If people make decisions related with the money, every day on website, your decision should be transparent, open. Anyone can go there, how much our governor spend money, for what purpose, how my governor's wife went to the capital city, by public money or by his private money. I think if you have everyday expenditure, everyday coming money and going out, anyone looking for that, people usually interest not what your boss is doing. People usually interest how they are spending the money. And make them open to the people by law. If they don't do that, you fire them. You fire them. That's gonna be. I think that will make also big changes in my country. I think please support that. If you go open government, something like that on Google, you will find that initiative. But you will be also see the photo, which is the close on my face, President Obama's palm. When that photo, you may remember, you know, last year, that was the President Obama. We were taking photo, all the leaders of that heads of states, and President Obama actually waved. But I stood here, and he's like this, and many people, wow, why you are standing behind of the President Obama's hand, you know. Everyone is asking. That photo was one of the interesting photo of the year, you know. That ranked number 7. That behind of that President Obama's hand, that my face was. I told my people, you know, President Obama's hand can cover my face, but his hand not going to cover my country. You know, my country bigger than his hand. And actually, from that, many people got comfort. That was the initiative. Okay.
Right up here.
Thank you so much for your remarks. I'm Elsa, and I'm a sophomore at the college. And going off of that photo, I was hoping you could talk a bit more about how you see Mongolia's place in the world. in terms of relations with the U.S., relations with China, and participation in the non-aligned movement?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, many people wonder how small Mongolia is surviving between two giant countries. You know, we are neighboring the Russian Federation, is the biggest land country in the world and the most populous country, People's Republic of China. I usually say that, you know, we used to, you know, live next to each other for centuries. We have established mechanism between our governments, and we respect each other. You know, Chinese leaders respect our people's choice, our government decision, and we respect theirs. Russian people respect our people's choice. Russian government respect our government's decision, and we have that high-level meeting. Only I'm president for 3 years. I had a meet with the President Putin and Medvedev 7 times, with the Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping, maybe also 7 times. You know, we have every time that high-level exchanges. In every level, we have that kind of mechanism. And because of that, I think we are benefiting from that. Now China is the most important market in the world. Mongolia is sharing longest land border with China, 4,700 kilometer border. You know, we have that mineral resources in Mongolia, which is needed in China. Why Mongolia is becoming a much attractive place in the world? Because of that market. And if we cooperate together, mutually win-win cooperation, I think our people will benefit. Also with Russia and with the America. Also we have, I usually say that to the American leaders, you know, we have a common value. Human rights, rule of law, openness, justice, you know, that's our common value. And we dream for that together, and we fight for that together. Our men and women in a uniform actually served together in Iraq. Now they are serving together in Afghanistan in many hot places, also in South Sudan, that the student asked. And you know, Mongolia is one of the active contributing country for the peacekeepers, and Mongolians proud to serve in a peacekeeping capabilities. And there was no one actually questioned why you are sending as a president our daughters and, you know, boys to the harm's way. Our people never questioned that, but we respect that service. Even a small country can be a big example, you know, big example, shining example for doing good things for others.
Okay, this I'm afraid will have to be the last question right here.
Wow. No pressure, huh? Mr. President, thank you so much for being here. My name is James Gutierrez. I am a joint degree student between the Kennedy School and MIT Sloan and MBA. I'm really excited to hear your enthusiasm for your time here at the Kennedy School, and that you enjoyed your time as I have my time here. And you alluded to some lessons that you learned here at the Kennedy School, and I was wondering if you could close by speaking specifically. What were some of your best lessons during your time here, and maybe we can use those in the future?
You know, yeah, those classes related with the leadership, those classes related with the negotiation, art of communication, I think those were the most vivid classes for me. And after, I think if every student make that, I think that will be the sharing the Harvard wealth with the world, you know. If every student coming back to their countries, giving the lecture, what you learned at the Harvard in your communities, I think that will be great thing to do. I did that. I benefited from that. You know, Harvard is the great brand. I told you. If you are here, now you relax. But you have to fuel yourself, you know. You have to go run shopping. You know, shopping means usually in every school year starting, we shopping the classes and which class I took, which class I go dismiss, and you know, make that shopping and try to go to get within 1 year, within 3 years, as much as fuel you can take. And I'm still with that fuel, you know. I did not refuel. I have that Harvard fuel with me. Because of that, I'm doing. And of course, I think every student here has a choice to succeed. And I think I'm just trying to share with my people, with my children, you know. Children, when they fight over balls, when they fight over meals, you know, usually kids do that. And I try to make them cooperate. I try to make them negotiate with them. I try to share my lessons. That's it. That's way how I deal with the problem. And I think, you know, being politician, being public servant is not difficult thing. I usually say that, you know, I usually remember that one lesson from the JFK, and ask what you can do. That's really good thing. In Mongolia, we have a great saying. First, take care of yourself. I think first you have to change yourself. And after that, you take care of your community. Third, you take care of your state. I think taking care of your state is, if you are not taking care of yourself first, if you are not taking care of your family second, you cannot take care of others. First of all, you have to take care of yourself. Our great king, Genghis Khan, even said that. He said that, you know, it was easy to conquer the world on the horseback. What was challenging, to dismount and try to govern. That was said 800 years ago, and that's the truth today. And also, I would like to close my remarks here. One saying from Mother Teresa. She said, God does not require that we succeed. God only asks that we serve. You know, God is asking to serve. As a public servant, I usually say to my people, if you are becoming the public servant, this is equal to saying that, you know, give me your problem. Take my happiness, my people. You know, I came to solve a problem. I not came to become the problem. I came for the solution. I'm the solution for your problem, for your challenges. If you don't do that, if you take some cash into your pocket, if you would like to become rich while you are serving in the public, while you are in the politicians, you are in a wrong place, you are in a wrong planet, you know. You have to go away from the public service. You can be good herdsman. Okay, go there. You know, you can be a good businessman. And I think you have to understand that essence of the service. Essence of the service is sharing that pain, that challenges. If you have that passion, I think people will understand. And good luck. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and thank you for getting off your horse and governing. It's a great honor having you here. Thank you very much. Have a safe evening, everyone.